What's up, Vector family? Luke Leasing here from Vector Algorithmics. Today I'm signing in from the beautiful country of Mexico. Edgar, how are you, my friend? Where are you signing in from?
Doing well, doing well. Signing in from Los Angeles.
That's good, man. That's good. How's everything been? I know you've been with us for a couple of months now. Um, why don't you tell some of our listeners about what you do for work or what you did do for work and how that kind of relates with your trading algo experience?
Sure. Initially out of college, I went directly to investment banking. I was working in the bond markets for a while. I started off here in LA, ended up moving to New York, and while I was in New York, I kind of had a family health emergency that I had to move back to LA in 2017. So that was really kind of before the work from home and remote jobs was kind of really a thing. So I came back. My dad was a blue collar guy. He had, one, two trucks. And I kind of took that over. And prior to selling it in November, I grew it to 34. In November, I was given a decent offer to sell. I took it, and I was, part of the deal was I had to stay on as advisory role for 6 months, and assist with the transition and personnel, systems, like the customers, et cetera. Um, During this kind of period where I've kind of, essentially taken them, a big roll back, I was kind of trying to find something different to do. And that's kind of where I found you guys. And with the algorithm, I kind of really liked it. Kind of seemed to align with what I was looking for. Not working those 16, 18 hours. Be able to spend more time with my family. And enjoying life and making money in the process. So Vector kind of seemed like the perfect solution and balance to that is, I try and figure out new projects and where it's going, and hopefully the bulk of it is actually Vector.
I love it, man. I love that. How's your workload now? So, because I know you're on the advisory board for that company, is it like a lot of work? Is it still
No,
burdensome?
no. So so it was 6 months. So it kind of started in January. So I'm at very tail end of it. I'm actually here today. I'm outside the office to taking the call actually. They needed some help with some Salesforce stuff and kind of very minimal. I'm probably here 10 to 20 hours a week at most. And that's kind of expected to completely die down. Kind of at the end of the June. But for the most part, they've already kind of figured everything out. The clients already know that the transition is taking place. So it's a little way more laid back now.
Yeah. And I think this interview was actually long overdue because when you joined in your first month, you pulled out some pretty decent amount of cash. And when Patricia and our team told us about it, I was like, okay, we got to get Easy E on an interview right away.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing this call now, but how was your first month? You want to tell us a little bit about your first
Yeah,
month?
so kind of within the first 4 weeks, it was the algo was really on a tear. So kind of within the first 4 weeks, I was able to pull out $14,000, from Tradeify and Top Step. Kind of were the two. I kind of approached it maybe a little bit differently than the vector recommendations, which kind of go the Apex route. I kind of wanted to focus on some of the other ones with end of day trailing drawdown. And I've kind of seen some success in doing that. But I'm gonna come back and tackle and beat the Apex monster.
Yeah, yeah. Apex is solid, but yeah, because of that intraday trailing drawdown, it can definitely get you. So you went immediately into other companies like TopStep and Tradeify, right?
Correct. Yeah, I immediately went into those. Take profit trader as well. I was recently Bullinox. Um, and yeah, I think that's the bulk of the PAs.
That's solid. So you made about 14,000 in your first month. I know you just recently got three more payouts. And then in terms of overall profits, where are you sitting at right now?
Yeah, so pretty much overall, payouts and kind of what's currently in the accounts. It's about 75,000. Like as you mentioned, I just passed three blue skies, which they're pretty challenging to pass. There's a lot of kind of steps into getting a brokerage funded account with them. I just got three of those. One's already live and actually trading. And I already got that payout. The other two, I got the payouts, but I'm just waiting for the paperwork and the brokerage to actually open the account.
Got it. Okay, so you're looking at about 75 grand in overall profits. And when did you join?
I joined the last week of March, more or less.
So
I think it was like March 28th, I believe, or around that date. So, two months and some days.
so 2.5 months, give or take.
Yeah, give or take, correct.
Dang, so 75 grand, 2.5 months. That's pretty impressive. Now, I know just from seeing you inside of Discord, you're pretty much tapped in with some of the other guys. Like, how would you find, how would you describe really the vector community and meeting some of the guys there in that network?
That was the main reason I joined. I was comparing you guys to some other companies, where they had thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It was going to be impossible for them to kind of really take some time and kind of teach you, and not kind of just here you go, kind of figure it out along the way. I saw the tight knit community. And everyone was super helpful from the beginning. Everyone from onboarding with Trisha and Liam, um, to once you're in and kind of trying to get a footing and understanding, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. That was the main reason I joined. Everyone's really cohesive and willing to help each other out and share their settings. Major shout outs to Rockstar, Jojo, Cheyenne, Jonathan. A lot of the Vector families kind of really helped and kind of guided us along the way.
Yeah, you know what, I'd say that's probably one of the most overlooked parts about any company or even really a trading company because yes, you have your services, yes, you have guys, selling a service or a signal or an algo, but one thing that a lot of people overlook is the community part. People want to feel like they're part of something, especially in the trading space where it naturally has a bad reputation, right?
Right. No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to feel like they're investing in something where not only are they getting the product that they purchased, but also, that attention to detail, the community vibes, the supports and things of that nature. I guess just to close everything off, brother, I'm very proud of the success that you've accomplished. Two questions. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone currently in the Discord? And second question, what's one piece of advice you want to give to someone that maybe just wants to get started in trading?
Sure. For people in the Discord, I mean, sizing. So sizing is really the biggest thing, and then I'm at a second one, which is definitely trusting and letting the algo run. There've been countless times where you cut it too short, and it goes to hit full TP. It happens way more often than not. And then most importantly is sizing. It shouldn't really affect your mental health to be looking at the screen and just seeing large red numbers. If you just kind of adjust your sizing accordingly, it doesn't really affect your psyche as much. Um, so those are kind of be the biggest things. And then like I said, letting the algo run and kind of do its thing. It's going to be profitable 80-85% of the time. So what makes you think that you're going to be able to do it any better?
Yeah, very well said. Like even myself, sometimes I struggle with that. Like last week, I know I closed two trades prematurely,
Right.
and I think I left about $400 per micro on the table last week because I did that. Like I could have
Yeah.
made more if I just let the algo run. So even
Yeah.
myself, like I completely get the psychology part where you just got to let it do its thing
Yeah,
sometimes.
and then and sometimes some people have some really good advice of hey, as soon as the algo hits, just walk away and don't look at it, because that's kind of where the emotions really kind of start taking place.
Yeah.
Um, and for and anyone kind of looking to get into trading, it's scary at first. It is. It's tough if you have no experience. Understanding what a future is, and what a tick is, and each tick is worth X amount, and kind of being able to figure it all out. But at least specifically with vector, you guys really make it really easy and straightforward and in a plug and play manner. Where you'll get it and understand it pretty quickly. That coupled with the community that's already in there, and anyone could really be successful.
Love it, brother. Edgar, congrats again on the success and thank you for your time today, brother.
Thank you, appreciate it, man. Take care. Have fun in Tulum.
Thank you, bro. I will.